Yeah, that's what they call it. Boom. Hot lunch to go. DJ Unique here. Legendary bassist, Mr. Oskar Cartaya. We're live here at Mambo's Cafe in Glendale, California.
Yeah.
If you want to join us on the live, if you go to my Facebook page, you can share it to your page.
Oh, let's do that, baby.
They can come on live on that way. Do you have a Twitch?
I don't. This is besides this one.
I think you're trying to get rid of that one.
Yeah, that one is not working out too good. So, okay.
There, I think the Facebook would be the easiest one to share.
Okay, so I'm on my Facebook right now.
Yeah, so go to my Facebook page.
Okay, so I'm gonna look for DJ Unique, right?
Wait, no.
Wait, okay. Boom.
There we are.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Okay. And sharing your story.
Share it on your page, your story, or wherever you want to share it.
Story. Story, right? You want to do the story? No, page.
Yeah, page.
Right here.
Yeah.
Sure enough. Hey.
Boom.
We are doing
Technology.
this.
I was just talking to Catalina because I am always a geek or a nerd or like a baby when it comes to technology. Like I will always be in awe of the things that we can do. Like I can't take any of it for granted. Small things like flying in an airplane or flying in an airplane and watching a movie on your phone. Or
it's we have progressed a lot of ways.
It's amazing. Last time I flew, I had a layover in Chicago, had a couple hours. What did I do? I set up my DJ controller. I went on live streams and was DJing from the airport. I'm like, yo, this is bananas.
You know, it's the times we're living, bro. Technology, I think I read a while ago that in the last 120, 30 years, humanity has progressed more than it did in all its existence before. So if you think in the last 120 years, we went from horse and carriage to people on the moon, you know, like traveling at warp speed, even sending stuff to Mars, flying, everything. 120 years ago, we were in a horse and cart, you know, and people are walking, and now with all of that, and it's not fast enough. We still want like more. I need it now.
Well, the sad thing, I think, is that 120 years, a lot of our brains are still in the horse and carriage while the technology has us flying around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So once some of us get out of that horse and carriage mentality, I think we'll.
Yeah. But what happens is that technology has progressed so much, and the transition for people that were, you know, like our kids, they're technology savvy off the womb. It's almost like intuitive. They'll grab a phone, an iPad, a computer. They can do that naturally.
Yeah.
They never done that. So for the person that used to have like a phone book that you write numbers and stuff, to like now have a smartphone where all your information is there, and you got to compartmentalize everything here, and you got your files, and then this goes to try to say, where is this? I can't find it.
Yeah.
Like, there. Yeah. Oh, thanks. So yeah.
Exactly. I go to a place here, so I go to prayer all the time. Like, make this make sense. And some of the things, like even when he's working like Photoshop or anything like that, to me it's foreign language.
Oh God.
To him, it's
yeah.
There it is.
So
anyway, so I was telling everybody that you are a legendary bassist, among other things. So can you tell us about the first time you picked up a bass and why? Why the bass?
Well, actually, it started with, like, you know, as in childhood, we always got like all these different progressions of stages of what you want to be. You know, the average kid, you know, policeman, fireman, this, that. I only wanted to be two things my whole childhood. I remember. I wanted to be baseball player and musician. That was it. I had like Yankees little uniforms since I was like 8-1, I'm dressed up like the Bambino or whatever.
That's like you're born in New York,
I was born in New York,
lived in Puerto Rico.
lived in New York until I was 6 years old. Then we moved to Puerto Rico.
Got you.
And then I was in Puerto Rico until I was 18 years old.
Came to California.
Came to California to school for a couple of years. Went back to New York, lived for 10 years in New York, and then came back and I've been here.
Wow.
So that's my Bermuda Triangle right there. New York, Puerto Rico, LA, New York, LA.
How old were you when you picked up the bass?
Well, I first started an acoustic guitar.
Okay.
That was the first thing that I got when I was like 8 years old.
Did you ask for it, or did you?
Yeah, because by that time I already had like little plastic keyboards and plastic guitars and drums and everything. So now I wanted to play guitar. And they gave me a guitar. And I remember there was a guy that used to go to my house and teach me lessons for like $5 an hour.
Wow.
This is many moons ago. The guy would come and I would be playing boom, ding, ding, boom, ding, ding, boom, ding, ding. You know. So that went on for like a year and a half. And then one day, out of the blue, I said, bass. You know, I didn't even know what the bass was, but I would see on TV like people playing this stuff standing, and it looked cool. So I took my mom's broom and I cut the stick and I taped it to the guitar, to the bottom.
Wow.
So now I will stand up and play the guitar like, completely, fake it until you make it. That kind of, I had no idea, but it looked cool. So I was like playing the guitar, and that's how I, my love for the bass evolved from just doing that. So at age 10, I went to my dad on a Sunday. He was reading the paper, and I come up to him and I go, I'm going to be a musician. And he went, and kept on reading the paper. And that was the only conversation I ever had with my dad of what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
I mean, and to the day he passed, my biggest supporter.
Wow.
Like 100, he only asked me, if you're going to be a musician, be a real musician. Like, he made me study. I went to a performing arts school in Puerto Rico. Then I went to the conservatory. Then I came here to LA to study. And, and the complete professionalism of being a musician was the only thing that he required from me. It's like, you're not just going to be like, pick up and go jam. So, no, if you want to be this, then you got to be for real. And I honor that. And he's like, okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
When did you consider yourself a professional? Like in your dad's eyes, when were you a professional?
Well, I started earning money playing music when I was 15 years old. And by the time I graduated high school, I had bought my first car with money I made playing. I was gigging, and my senior year, I will be getting to my house like at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Who are you playing with?
All the local bands in Puerto Rico, like pretty known artists, Lalo Rodriguez, Conjunto Canallón, Sophie, Danny Rivera. I mean, like known artists, well-known artists of the island. But when I started in the performing arts school, their school was half the day academics, half the day music. So I was in school from 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the afternoon, all day. And I grew up pretty much doing first classical music because that was what they used to teach. So I will have this duplicitous kind of life because I will be doing classical music all day, and then I get home and I'll put like my Ruben Blades record or Ray Barreto, listen to the salsa, Fanny All Star, and I would try to copy this, all the stuff that was going on. So lots of music, non-ending, never stopping music. And little by little, you start, when you're putting that much time into something, either you progress or you should be looking for something else.
How did you work yourself into the circle of musicians, like to start?
Because I started, my first big break came with a band called Mandaves, which is like, look at that. Oh, no. Man. Suki.
Oscar, what do you want to drink?
Man, I'll have some water, please.
You got it, brother.
Thank you. What's up, Rick? Well, people, I am sorry that you are far away but I'm gonna give you a little tour right here. Right here, look, tostones.
What's a tostones?
Fried plantains.
Oh, turn it
But this is when the plantains are green. These right here
up.
is when the plantains. Ooh, my lord!
And you go, bro. You got finger cooking.
Nope, that's Rob. When the plantains are already been ripe, they turn sweet, and they call those amarillo.
Okay.
Yep.
So how'd you work your way into those circles? Like, how'd you start spreading your name around so that
Well,
now
you
you're
know,
called an Oscar?
the usual. I started working with that band, Mandalen, and local kids. We were all like high school kids, and funny enough, like maybe 3 other guys from that band are still my best friends to this day.
Wow.
And this is, many decades ago, and they became prominent musicians in their own right. So we all were like the little hungry kids going out there, doing the usual hustle, showing up to jam sessions, too ignorant to know our own good. Like, no, we will get called to do gigs. Oh,
They
my.
got it.
Thank you, sir.
You can tell he's just like Enzo. You know what he's watching on his phone right now?
I like it.
DraftKings. That's exactly how my kid is. My kids, I mean,
What did you watching?
DraftKings.
Oh, draft.
That's right. Baseball.
Yeah,
word.
you know, my kid. One time he had a play date, right? My friend Juan's son came over with Joaquin, and Joaquin comes over to where me and Juan were hanging out at my house, right? And I'm bored, and I'm like, man, how you gonna be bored? Enzo's in the room, why don't you go play? And they're like, oh, he doesn't want to play with me, right? That's weird. Then I went to the room, right? I said, Enzo, what's going on? Why aren't you playing with Joaquin? He goes, Dad, doesn't like baseball, doesn't like football, doesn't like the NBA, doesn't want to watch ESPN, doesn't want to watch Fox Sports. I'm like, yeah, but it's all sports categories here. Maybe he doesn't like sports. And he's like, then what am I supposed to do? That's it, right?
I'm not sacrificing mine.
He like mentioned every single, but it's the same category, dude. I was like, oh, dude.
That's hilarious.
Well,
He doesn't even like ESPN. I'm like, okay.
he knew what he wanted.
Yeah, dude. Enjoy, guys.
Thank you so much.
So, pretty much, you make your way into the scene by being ignorant enough to think that you can do anything. You show up to gigs, fumble your way through it. Somebody, some of the older guys will go like, "Hey, get your shit together. Then you go home, practice harder, come back, do a better job the next time." Okay.
So it just immediately already giving you jewels. Practice. Just like his father said, don't just say you're going to be a musician. If you're going to be a musician, be a musician.
Yeah.
Study what the musicians study. Know the ins and outs of your craft and what you're going to do. Like, do you play any other instruments?
Not enough to feed a monkey, but yes, I play. A little bit of. I still play some guitar, and piano. I learned by default just because, as a writer, composer, arranger, you have to know a little bit of the instrument itself. And then I was surrounded, and when I say surrounded, like I had so many percussionists friends growing up that I picked up a lot of percussion vocabulary that it will be a little bit more than the average musician because these were my buddies, and to this day they're like my brothers. So I understand their rationale and their thinking. I can communicate pretty well. And when you hear my music, it reflects a lot of the percussion-driven stuff. It's just because I know what I want to hear and how to get it out of guys.
Yeah. Of course, I'm eager to know. Where were you when you first found out that you were nominated for a Grammy?
Huh.
And how did that feel?
That, so it's one of those surreal moments that every artist will tell you the same. We create because that's what we do. We're not creating because I want to win this, or you create because there's an urge inside of you. I have to expose it. I have to put it out there. This is every music, every piece of art, every anything that is created. I want to say it's a portal to somebody's brain, to somebody's emotion. They're expressing it in whichever way comes natural to them. You know, that's why some people look at a painting and they get so emotional about it. They perhaps can sense what the artist is trying to do. Music is the same. Music is having so much emotion. A song for somebody may not mean anything. For somebody else, it's just like that's one song. Yeah. So when you do that, you're just doing it because it's like you feel like almost like you're a vessel of whatever is supposed to come from somewhere, come to you, and put it out there. When you get quote unquote recognized for it, then you get a nomination, meaning that so many people put out projects at the same time that you did, and somehow yours got filtered through the whole thing, or enough people listened to it, or enough people just said, oh, I think this one has something, it gives like some type of validation, which it doesn't mean that it goes through your head and you start walking around like, yeah. But it's almost like, oh, it's they got what I was trying to do, And it was funny because I am both extreme. I'm a night owl, and a morning person. So my sleeping hours to go to bed always is between midnight and 2 in the morning. In there, and I'm up between 6 and 7. Never fail. So my sleeping average of 4 or 5 hours. It's been like this as long as I can remember. That one day, it was like I had worked the night before, whatever, and my wife was at home. I've been taking my bill to school for as long as I can remember, always. And that day, she said, "Oh, I'll take it." And the my mixing engineer, Movie Canasio, he calls me, and I pick up the phone. It's like 8 in the morning. He goes, my friend, you got the nomination. And I'm like, what? I mean, like, I'm like lost, like waking up. You just pick up the phone, hello, and somebody's calling, my friend, you got the nomination. And that's how I found out. By him calling me like at 8 a.m., letting me know.
Yes. Man, congratulations. Thank you for that. And I saw you played on albums that also won Grammys. Girl Soccer Ball, really, Cologne, Spotto Gyra. Like when you play on those projects, do they give you a Grammy for that?
Well, you only get a Grammy as part of if you're like the artist or part of the. In other words, as a sideman, you just get a certificate of recognition that you worked on it. The main statue goes to the primary artist. So, and like for example, the Arturo Sandoval album, I was a sideman. I worked on that album. We won, I think it was called Hot House. Willie Colon, the same thing. With Spiral, the year that we got nominated, it was Quincy Jones had put out the Q Joint album, and that won everything. It was like there was no competing with that. So, but yeah, you get your certificates for every album that is nominated.
I saw that you used to teach at the Musicians Institute.
Yep.
Will you tell us how does it feel to teach, and do you still teach?
It's funny because that's the school that I came to in LA from Puerto Rico. So when I was 18 years old, I went to, at that time, they used to call it BIT, Base Institute of Technology. The whole
school, or was it just a basic school?
No. It was comprised of 3 departments: BIT, GIT, and PIT. Base Institute, Guitar Institute, and Percussion Institute. All of them fell under the umbrella of musicians. eventually they dropped the VIT, and all that. And they just kept it in mind. But I went to school there, and I went at an incredible, amazing time because there were so many good players that were coming to really like just devote their time. I mean, we're talking about we were playing 10, 12, 14 hours a day. I will get to school at 9 in the morning, and they would throw us out at midnight because at that time they would close at midnight. If they wouldn't close, I would stay there, a few hours. Go home, still play, get up again, 9 a.m., back at it. And it was an amazing time of growth and just so much music happening. For me, coming from Puerto Rico, which I had grown listening to a completely different, excuse me, my background was classical and Latin music. That was like what I have grown up, submerged myself, learned what's right. Now I came here and I started like finding out funk and R&B and soul and like and more jazz. I knew some jazz, but not like the depth of all the pioneers of the styles, and then all the iterations of other jazz players that came from this thing, this. So I was like, what was that movie? Johnny Number 5, the robot that.
Project. I love this movie. I can't.
That he's like loses it.
Short circuit.
And that was me with music. I was like, information, more. And by that, and at that time, we still had Tower Records.
Word.
So Tower Records used to have listening stations where you can go. I was a student, so I was broke. I couldn't be. So I would go to Tower Records like on the weekend and spend 4 or 5 hours just listening to records. Like I was, weather report. Listen to like Heavy Weather, Black Market, the whole record, and I'm reading all the credits and everything. David Samuel, and then it's like, oh, yeah. So it was just an incredible, like that feeling of just like absorbing, and you're learning more and more, and you go, this guy came from this guy, this guy used to play in this band, So that was my school days.
Did you take that same passion as a student and turn that into being a teacher when you taught?
Yeah, but when I was teaching, I graduated from MI. I was 20, and I remember I had my ceremony on a Saturday, and Monday I was working as an instructor. Wow. So the transition of one day being the guy that is just having fun, and I can spend as much time I want practicing and stuff, but now looking out for other people, trying to like, no, it didn't fare well with me. It took me a struggle because I was like, I play, now I gotta like be explained to them, and then I had a lot of not resistance, but it felt almost that I had to be validating my job because the same guy that was like my like we were both students a week ago, now I'm your teacher. And he was like, oh really? Okay, what do you And it was like, and I did it for almost a year, and then I said, and that's when I moved to New York, unwillingly, because I wasn't planning to move to New York. I was planning to go back to Puerto Rico. I just stopped in New York for a little over 10 years. Never made it to Puerto Rico.
When the New Yorkers started playing there.
Yep.
Who played with there?
Oh God.
Is that when you were in the Apollo house band?
That was one of the many things that I did. But I got to New York. I started playing. One of the first gigs that I got was with the late piano player, Jorge Dalto. A lot of people don't know who Jorge Dalto is, but they definitely have heard him. He's the guy that played the beautiful piano intro in Masquerade with George Benson. He played on Broadway. This was George Benson's piano player.
Word.
And he eventually then started playing with Tito Puente's Latin Jazz Ensemble and everything. He was an Argentinian piano player, amazing guy. He was like one of my very first gigs in New York City. From there, I started playing with Willie Colon. And at that time, Willie Colon and Ruben Blades already had broken up. So Willie was doing a solo career. At the same time, Ruben Blades had started Ruben Blades and Seis del Solar, which was his like, project. So I would work with both, with Willie and with Ruben. Then I got a call from a Brazilian piano player called Tania Maria. And I started playing with Tania Maria. I mean, this is all in a span of like a year and a half of being in New York. One of, like one, and it's like everything. Like I always say, the Baskin Robbins effect. When you do the new flavor, everybody wants to try it.
Yeah.
So I'm the new guy in town, and I'm getting all the calls like, oh, who's that guy? Oh, yeah. So one gig will lead to another. And in New York at that time, early '80s, it was popping. There's a gazillion clubs to play. There's music 7 nights a week. My first gigs that people were throwing at me were the after hours, 4 a.m. start. So I'm leaving out in the middle of winter, like at 3 in the morning, to go play a gig from 4 to 8 a.m.
Wow.
A Sunday,
Still rocking.
technically a Monday. So I'm leaving the club like a vampire, and people want to work. And I was like, oh, but that was like the gig that all the older guys were throwing away. Like, yo, kid, what are you doing? Also, 4 a.m.
Still rocking out for it?
Oh no, those things are gone. Oh no. Well, those clubs were rocking because all the people that were like at the regular clubs, and this is the '80s, so there's a lot of like,
Okay.
a lot of like, drugs that stimulate people to not go home.
Yeah.
They will all end up at these after hours.
Old school New York City. Can you share some of the Apollo situations with us? Like who you played with there? Were you there on like amateur nights and?
The conductor at the Apollo at that time, his name was Frank Owen, piano player, and he had been doing it for a while. The host, if I'm not mistaken, I think Sinbad was hosting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the bass player that used to have this gig was a bass player by the name of Francisco Centeno, household name in New York City. I mean, when I got to New York, early '80s, Marcus Miller, Will Lee, Neil Jason, Francisco Centeno, Sal Cuello, these were like the top 5, 6 bass players in the whole city. When you got a whole city and like 6 or 7 guys are doing 80% of all the gigs, and the other 20% is spread around with all the leftovers is for the other few thousand bass players. So Francisco became a good friend, and he used to play with Aretha Franklin.
Wow.
So Aretha was out on the road, and he called me up and he said, "Listen, I need you to cover me Apollo." The whole season was taped on a weekend.
Really?
11 shows between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Really?
Yep. So it was like 4 shows on Friday, 4 shows on Saturday.
Are they recycling the audience or?
Oh no, it's the same audience.
Same audience.
Yeah, like you're there for the day.
Wow.
And sometimes we will, what they would do is like tape all the talent. So say at that time TLC was just about coming out. They will go. Tony Braxton will be there. All these acts, and then we will take like most of the amateurs. Sandman was still there. Sandman with the pom 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 and the stick and the whole thing. And I never forget the guitar player Rodney. What's Rodney's name? He had been doing it for a while, and when you come out of the Apollo, there used to be that trunk there that people rubbing. The orchestra pit was like right there on the side, and I remember like this is my first day, like a couple hours into it, and that was for the theme. That's ba, 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 and that was like quick. The audience, when the audience started booing and it's like they'll call it right there. This guy walked out of the curtains rub the trunk, and Ronnie said, "Get the theme ready." I mean, he like read this boy like like literally he said, "Get the theme ready," and he went like, "Only for one." Ooh! And we were playing the theme before I could put the pick, and they're like, "Holy cow!" That's when you know you've been doing the gig for a while. Like he and you know we saw some amazing singers, but that one I never forget that one because he glanced at it like, "Get the theme ready," and it was like, "What?" Ba, 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 and Sam woo came out with the siren and the cane. It's like, wow. So that was a lot of fun.
One thing I hear a lot of is how small the Apollo actually is.
Oh yeah, tiny,
Or
tiny. You know, I've been watching the show for years. When I got to the theater, it's like, really? You know, it's all dimensions, how you tape it, how you make it seem. You would think it's a big theater.
oh, it's a huge place. Historically, it's too. What's up, Erica? Erica's in the building. Davis is in the building. OG West Coast, what's up? Anybody ask any questions over there, Quinn? Okay. I know you have a long tradition of playing with so many different artists from all kinds of different genres. Is there any artist that pops up in your mind immediately, like, I enjoy playing with this artist, no questions asked, they never ask me, I'm there, point period blank, let's go.
Well,
Living or dead?
okay. Let me start with the people that already have left us behind. At age 21, I think. And Willie Colon, he was the mega producer for Fania Records. Fania was the Motown of Latin music. Every single artist was signed to Fania. Fania was the label that controlled the whole business. Was controlled from one label. They had subsidiaries by all these other labels, but they were all affiliated with Fania. So if you were in Fania, then you're in. Willie used to produce all the top artists for Fania. Hector Lavoe, Ruben Blades, Ismael Miranda, Celia Cruz. The list goes on of people that really produce. So we started working on a Celia Cruz album. And pretty much, you know, he dumps the thing on me. It's like, okay, we're doing this. These are the songs. We got to get this on, get this arranger, see if we can. So now I am running this production. He's coming in, saying that things are working. He's gone.
Of Daddy.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody does. Yeah. And I'm working with Celia Cruz. I grew up. When I say grew up, like when I'm whatever, 5, 6, 7 years old, I'm listening to Celia. My dad loves Celia. You know, Celia's a household name. You know, she's like in her, I would say late, she's going to be in her 60s. And I'm like, oh, you know, Celia. So we cut all the tracks for the record, and now she was going to do her vocals. And the first day of the session, it was a 10 a.m. session. I used to live in the Bronx. The studio was in Midtown Manhattan. So I said, I'm working with Celia tomorrow. I gotta be there. I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna show some professionalism. So I left early. I get to the studio like maybe 9:15. Open the door. Celia is sitting right across in the studio, knitting, with like some big ass glasses. And her husband, Pedro, you know, he was always like they used to come cotton head, white hair with like the long sideburns. You know, he has in a 3-piece suit reading the paper. It's like 9:15. The session is starting to like 10. I'm used to working with artists that the session is at 10 and they don't show up until like 2 o'clock. You know, you're 4 hours there just doing it. So I'm like, buenos dias, Celia. Hi, Ocarito, buenos dias. You know, it's like, she knew my name. How you doing? All that. And it's like, okay, so I am so like, I'm working with like my grandma, and my superstar grandma. So I'm like very respectful, telling her, and she will be asking me, "How does that sound? Should I do it again? What do you think?" Like, the whole day. Beautiful delight. I'm like, I'm calling my dad. See, what's that, y'all? And he's like, oh, okay. We finished that day of work, and I thought, okay, well, tomorrow, 10 o'clock again. And, we had 12 songs to cut. And she goes, okay. So now the next day I said, you know what? I'm going to get there even earlier. I want for she when she walks in, I'm already there. Like, looking at, I'm taking care of this. So I leave the Bronx like at 7 in the morning. Get to Midtown like, I don't know, 8:20. Open the door, Celia's knitting, Pedro's reading the paper. I'm like, I'm not trying to let them know that I'm stunned. I was like, oh, good morning, good morning. Hi, everybody. We sat there, we're talking, and we worked the whole day. And I'm like, okay, well, and I keep on reiterating. So we start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And she, oh, yeah, thank you. Then on my way home, I said, that's it. I will, even I have to like wait outside, I'm going to get there. I got to the studio, I think it was like 7 a.m. Open the door, Celia is knitting, Pedro's reading the paper. That's when I said, okay. You guys know the session is at 10 a.m., right? And they say, yeah, but Pedro doesn't like to drive in traffic, so we leave the house like around 5. And we're getting to the studio like 5:40 in the morning.
Wow.
And waiting. It was like, okay, you guys wait.
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow. So the rest of the session, it was like, I'm not beating this one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The professionalism
Yes.
of a legend. You know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't have to be there at that time. She can show up at 2 if she wanted to.
Yeah.
But
No.
wow.
So that always stayed in my memory. So then, after we finished the record, we did a tour with Willie and Celia. Went out on the road for a few months. It was amazing. So now, I moved to LA. I see her, but I'm not playing with her or doing anything with her for a long time. So maybe 20 plus years later, when the inaugural Latin Grammy started, they started in 2000. I had just gotten off the road with Steve Winwood, Arturo Sandoval, and Tito Puente. We had a band, the three of them together in one band. It was called a Latin Cross. So the president of the Academy, Avaroa, calls me and he says, can you put a band to do like the inaugural launching of the Latin Grammy? I know that you just got off the road with Puente and Sandoval. They're both going to be there, and we're going to add Celia. So I said, all right. So I put the whole thing together. She didn't show up to rehearsal. It was showtime. I walk in to the dressing room, and I'm going to tell her, what we did so that I can bring her up to date. We rehearsed it. And I walk in and do, Oscarito, my niño. And she's like, Pedro, look who's here, Cartaya. I mean, this is like 20-something years later. And she remembered me. She's going like, oh, my God, look at. I'm like, I am like in cloud 9. I'm going like, this is not happening. But that's the kind of person that she was. A whole other, very, very few people achieve that level of like that attention to everything, detailed. Like you just go like, wow, okay,
There's no reason for you to remember who I am. Why do you remember who I am? Like,
and everything. And then you're telling your husband, like, look who's here, look, it's crazy. Like, yeah. So that will stay with me into the end of time. Yeah. The other, the one that was amazing to work with, he always will make you laugh one way or the other, was Tito Puente. Tito was one of these people that, he was a pioneer in so many of the things that he did. Talking about he was a professional dancer. Tito was a professional Mambo dancer. He went to the Navy, went to Junior School of Music, I mean, like overachieving everything, you know. And then he became the ambassador of Latin music, like the guy that put everything, you know, pioneered over 100 records as an artist.
Impossible.
Yeah, so that's it. And we went out on the road with that tour that I told you of the Latin Crossing.
Is that what you meant?
No, I already have met him in New York City, and I played with his band, subbing. But this is, you know, now we went out as a unit because it was like a whole band that they comprised of all different personnel. So it was a Latin Crossing featuring Tito Puente, Arturo Sandoval, and Steve Goodman. So we have been out on the road for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months. We played a show in Rome, and now the next day we're playing Milan. And, you know, at this point, Tito's in his mid-60s, you know, but he's been, you know, Tito Puente, 60s is anybody else's 80, you know, like the pace of living. So we're playing, and we used to have like, you know, and we're playing in Milan. They have the Duomo, which is a really big church, like a cathedral, where they do like all these events always. And we were playing out in front of it, and we're setting, you know, Sandoval will talk and do some of the songs. Steve Winwood will talk and do some of his stuff, and then Puente will come and talk and do some of his stuff. So it's Puente's turn. He goes, "Hello, how's everybody? How you doing, Rome?" Rome, we're in Milan. It's like if you go to New York City, you know, you went, "What's going on, LA?" And everybody's like, "What are you doing?" So I immediately, I didn't want to like embarrass him. So I turn around and I make believe that I'm fixing my hand and I'm going, "Tito, we're in Milan, we're in Milan." And he goes, "What? And I said, "Rome was last night, this is Milan," you know. But I'm facing, you give my back to the audience, but trying to like make it seem, and he goes, "What? And I said, "We are in Milan." And he goes, "Good evening, Rome." And at that point, people were like, "Okay, he's Puente, whatever, fine." And I'm like, "Damn, gangster." It's like, I don't care. You're going to be wrong tonight. And people loved it. You know, once Oye Como Va starts, everybody forgets everything.
Okay, so I had the opportunity to play with you and some great musicians in the Trump Monkeys. Thank you for that opportunity. And what is a drum
Right
monkey?
here. Right
And
here.
how did you come up with that concept?
Well, that was a crazy way how we got to that. Because Trunk Monkey turned out to be a complete spontaneity at a gig that Matt Brody, he was there, Chris Coleman, the drummer, and myself were playing. We were doing a gig. And we were playing at the Baked Potato. I remember it was like the Baked Potato. And at that time, Chevrolet had some commercials about a monkey coming out of the trunk of the car and like hitting people. You know, like it was a whole campaign based on a monkey in the car. It was like a coming out of the trunk in the back seat, and they were hilarious. The commercials were hilarious because like somebody had stolen a car and the monkey comes out and it was like, "Oh, well, you can get the Chevrolet with, you know, monkey protection, whatever." And we started messing around. We're going, "Man, that's a great name for the band, Trunk Monkey." It was like, okay. At that time, Mambo's right here, they used to have music, and we would be playing here all the time. So this became like our home. This was our lab. We were experimenting here. I already have met you from the floor. We had been doing stuff with Carolina and Sasha and the girls. And I told the guys, let's add a DJ. And as you all know, we had no music. Everything that we played was made up in the spot. That was the beauty of a Trunk Monkey, that it was a complete spontaneity and organic to another level. And then the songs that we did know, that if we did a cover of something, then we would put our spin to it. It wasn't like we were just playing exactly, yeah, Cantaloupe Island or anything. We were like, that was the version, but then we will like flip it like something. And all the stuff that we did and created was a complete collaboration of everybody on the spot. What do we do? Go for it. We will throw a loop. We will play. Little sirens. We're good. We're good. We're good. Stand on stepping forward. Yeah.
Quay, can you do me a favor and plug in the charger? Leave the bass part in there, but unplug the wire and then plug the wire back into the bass. It's live on the owner. They went out here this whole time. DJ people. Yes, thank you, Quay. We did artists that you perform with, but after years of performing, are there any performances that stick out to your memory? And can you share those experiences with us? I know it's like thousands of shows later.
Well, I gotta say that one of the shows that really has like stayed with me for a long time. When I after finished my high school, studied 1 year in conservatory, then I came to LA, and I grew up in a hometown of Puerto Rico called Bayamon, like 15 minutes west of the capital, San Juan. I'm a little island boy that left to the big city. Now I went to LA. I spent some time there, go to New York. I'm in New York like, I want to say maybe 3-4 years, bouncing, doing my round, playing with everybody, moving up the ladder, and soon I end up with the Spiral Gyra gig, which at that time was a very popular band, like in the commercials, contemporary jazz world. So it was almost like, wow, the stamp of validation of, wow, all these years of doing this and leaving homeland and family, everything, I guess it paid off. And we went and played Puerto Rico. And, you just can't help it to say,
Yeah.
I'm here. I made it. I mean, like, made it in the sense that, I don't know, if I would have never played with them, I still would have figured out something that would have, like, fulfilled whatever void there was. But
To come back with a big band in your home.
exactly, your hometown, everybody, or your childhood friends, people that know you, people that completely thought this sucker was going to be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are like, yeah, so it covers a big range of emotions. I'm like, I'm here. And most of all, my parents, it was almost like my way of letting them know.
I did it.
I did my job.
Yeah.
I kept my promise.
Yeah.
I worked. I took this serious.
Yeah.
And they were like, my dad was the guy that he will go somewhere and he will start talking to you. You know music, bass player, he will like, people, that's your son? Oh yeah. So it was like that. So that for me did it more like for, and then eventually, now I will go back to Puerto Rico with Willie Colon, and I will go back to Ruben, and started going to all these artists that we grew up listening and they knew, well, but this was like the crossover because this was in a style of music which at that time was starting to get very popular, and it almost opened doors for me in a whole other market as far as, I was known for a Latin bass player. But then playing with Spiral, I was just a bass player. A bass player that happens to be Latin, but it wasn't anymore like, oh, the Latin guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, now it's like, I'm playing anything. Bro.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Any one more? There's some experience like you're on stage and you're playing and almost feel like it's out of body, or you know what I'm saying? That
the next one, I think that I gotta say is my what I like to call my PhD in music, which was working with Herb Alpert. And that was another one that I called my dad, and he was a big fan of the Tijuana Brass, you know, back in the day. And it was so real because I have been in LA maybe like two years, and this is before our cell phone craze that everybody has a phone. So I'm in my house. Phone rings, pick it up. He's like, hello. He goes, like somebody soft spoken. And I'm like, yeah, this is he. Hi, this is Herb Alpert. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? I mean, I'm thinking it's one of my boys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he couldn't figure out what name he's going to tell me. He's going to use Herb Alpert. I was like, yeah, what's up, man? And he goes, hi, listen, your name has come up a couple times in conversation. And I'm trying to do a project, something different. And we're like, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I am sarcastic to like another level because I'm thinking somebody's going to go, yeah, I got you. So the conversation goes on, and as it keeps developing, I go, how did this hit? You know, now I start going like, wow, how do I tone this down? Because,
Yeah.
you know, so I started like being less sarcastic, and it's like, oh, okay. So by the end, he told me, listen, would you mind coming to my office? And I was like, okay, yeah. At that time, the offices were in La Cienega and Beverly. And even when I hang up and I took all the information, I go over there, and you know, some fool is just like taking it. I go a couple of days later, show up, and go to the reception time. I'm Oscar. Oh yes, Herb is waiting for you. I'm like, wow. Walk in, and next thing you know, he's sitting there in like the simplest of, you know, like a nice office, but not like the.
I'll be right back.
Okay, not the office that you think a person of his stature will have. It's like, a nice one. We start talking. He starts telling me, you know, your name came up. I want to do this project. I want to bring, you know, the essence of like Black music and music with what I do. But you know, hit it off. And he goes, it's like, so we go have lunch, and we're like this, you know, we're eating and stuff, and he goes, you didn't think it was me when I told you, right? And I go, nope. I was like, nope.
He's like, yeah, I'm glad you recognize that. My bad.
And he's going, I don't know, you know, why is it strange that I call people? Everybody wants like somebody to call somebody for them, and you know, I think that helps. So like, yeah, sorry for the sarcasm. He goes,
Or did you get to tour with him?
I spent 2 years working with him because I wrote a whole album worth of music with him. Then we recorded it. Then we went on the road, and I was him leading the tour. And I gotta say that so many of the things that I learned from that experience are vital to what I do every day in my life, in my personal and in my music and everything, because the way that he conducts himself, the way that he approached stuff, and you know, I'm sitting there with him in the studio, and it was him and I for the first few weeks. Just I would drive. He had a studio in Santa Monica. I'm here in the Valley, so I'm driving every day to Santa Monica, getting there, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm listening to all his catalog. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba, you know, Tijuana Brass and this and that, you know, Rise, da-da-da-da-da, you know, just to get a, you know, I want to make sure. And, you know, we will get in the studio working, and we will have an engineer, him and I, and I'm bouncing ideas. And one day he tells me, listen, I just want to say this so I get it out there. I don't know what I want, honestly, but I definitely know what I don't want. your thing. And whenever there's something I don't like, I'll let you know. But otherwise, just do whatever you're gonna do. Because that's and it was like if they took a 1,500-ton gorilla off my shoulders.
Word.
I was trying to like do something to please him, but I wasn't doing my thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? The moment he said that, it was like, man, we started. It was like tune after tune after tune. We ended up having like maybe 20, 25 songs. And we got going to record like 10, 11.
Yeah.
But it was just because the flow was so natural. Then I would throw things at him, and he goes like, and then, okay, wait, and then it's like, oh yeah, let's go for and that principle I have applied ever since. So when I work with different artists, when people come to work with me, it's always the same. It's like, dude, I don't know what I want. I definitely know what I don't want. So do your thing. And everybody, it's like an instant flood opener because people
For
feel,
you're creative, it's got to be.
yes, every time that you put creative people in an environment and you give them the freedom of, there's no boundaries here. Be you.
Yeah.
Don't try to please me. Don't try to please, just do what you do and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're comfortable being quiet. You're not comfortable being Oscar or any, you're comfortable. So when you start doing your thing, I'll figure out, I like that. Okay, let me take some of that. And yeah.
Word.
So I always have said he was my PhD.
Word.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. One more question for you. Then I have like 5 general HotLunch to go questions. Okay, so music is always evolving. How would you describe its evolution since you began playing music?
Wow. Well, I gotta say that it's like medicine. Like there's never a place where you stop and go, okay, this is it. It's not going anywhere from here. Like this is the last disease. Nothing else is gonna come. Doesn't matter how comfortable or how good you get at something. At some point, something else comes around, and it's like, hey, well, let's figure this one out. I mean, I have gone from playing in chamber orchestra, youth symphony orchestra, salsa bands, to then moving up to more experimental Latin jazz kind of vibe, to like funky soul kind of thing, to rock, to jazz, and what I feel is that us as human, the nature of things is almost cyclical. So, say for example, we got Donny Hathaway, an icon of 60s and 70s. Everybody loved Donny so much. Then there's a period that Donny Hathaway disappears, and only people that know and stuff. But then the other generation that starts like going back and discovers Donny Hathaway, and then you get all these other singers like everybody from the John Legends. So that if you start like listening, you go like, wait a minute, there's a little bit, and that's the process of creation. Whoever tells you that they're not inspired by the past or whatever, or that they steal, because I'm the first one to tell you, I have ripped off every bass player that I have listened to. I will like go, oh, wait a minute, I'll take this and this. But then the way that I process it and I put it back out, that's what makes it me.
Yes.
But where it started from, I took from this guy, I took from this guy, I took from this guy. And that's exactly, designers are the same thing, writers, painters, everybody, it's the same process. You gotta like get your inspiration from somewhere. And imitation is one thing. Imitation is when you're trying to do exactly the same thing you saw, just do it. And there's no flattering in imitation. It just, you just doing something with there. Now, you take that as a source of inspiration and you do it. And the evolution of hip hop, for example. I was in New York when Africa Bombada, you name it, all these groups were coming out, in the city. This was break dancing, was like people walking with their cardboards, the boom boxes, all that stuff, to what it is today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big span of things, It went from the Crush Group movie to 8 Mile with Eminem. That's the way that things go. And you always got to understand. Uh, I used to play with Eddie Palmieri. And Eddie Palmieri is another of the brilliant geniuses of this music, of Latin jazz and contemporary salsa and everything. And we were on a bus ride in Europe, one of these 10-hour bus rides. And Eddie will not sleep at night in the bus. He's always reading and stuff. And we were talking because I'm a sucker for like taking knowledge from people. I really enjoy talking to like older generations and like getting all those golden nuggets. I'm like, yeah, and then what happened? And what did we do? And we were talking, and Eddie was like, at that time, salsa had gone through a period which they were calling it romantic salsa. And you know, salsa music by nature is like aggressive. It's like boom, hard. You know, it's like all that stuff. And then it came to that period that they try to mellow it down. It's like saying hip hop and then the jack swing kind of era. And he's like, this is not working. Let's go back to something harder. You know. So Eddie was going, they have watered down my music. This stuff. You know. And then I said, Eddie, you gotta understand something. If you don't change the times will change you.
Yeah.
And he just gave me like one of those like. If I see him now, in less than 10 minutes of us talking, he will go, I know. If you don't change with time, time will change. I mean, it was like one of, like, I couldn't believe that I gave a little piece of something for him to hold on to. And that is something that I'm always so aware and conscious about. That it doesn't matter if you think you have lightning in a bottle. If lightning in a bottle is not in style anymore, it was only good for that time. You're gonna have to like open the bottle and let that lightning go and figure out what can I put in the bottle. Yeah. And that happens. I've been fronting band for better part of like almost 3 decades. The evolutions of groups that I have put together and how I play my music and stuff has gone from, you know, a 3-piece band to like a 12-piece band to like a 5-piece band, you know, and it's always trying to figure out what, you know, at what stage we are, or what works, or what is it that I'm hearing that I can combine what I know. Because one thing is to, I don't want to call it sell out, but when people try to do something just because it's in style, you know, it always comes across like you look more uncomfortable than a Muslim on a baking commercial. You know, it's like you gotta figure out, you gotta find the balance of what you're comfortable with and what you can bring in and attach it to, and then that's when it's like a good, okay, that feels natural. In other words, natural. Formulas for me will never work, you know, and that's why you hear some people sometimes listening to radio trying to figure out what's the number one on the charts so they can try to do that. That only works for that person. Yeah. You have to figure out what you're going to do that creates that emotion that then everybody wants to listen to. And
with hip hop, they're just basically really listening to, oh, that's what they want to hear now? Okay, let me go in the studio and make that immediately. Like,
yeah.
But to each their own, if that's what folks want to do. Like, as he talked about his beginnings, yes, Erica, 8 years old, 10 years old on the bass. Does he come from a musical background? Is he related to anyone famous?
No. In my house, they didn't even play the radio.
Really?
I mean, completely non-musical family. Nobody had any inclination, anything. So that's when I started playing, was like, okay, no, fine, go for it. They were music appreciative and they love music, but musically inclined, nobody. No.
Wow. All right, so here are 5 hot lunch questions. This is randomly, I'm going to ask everyone these. Question number 1 is, no matter what's going on in the world, this makes me smile. What is that for you? No matter what's going on. Is it right in there? He wait for a second.
That's it. You know, I get around and I said, life is a rehearsal. Yeah, he was going to kickstart.
Yeah.
Every time I've been rehearsing, I can fuck up, I can mess up.
Yeah.
Now I'm on stage.
Yeah.
The gig is on.
Wow.
So it's like I'm responsible for human people. That's it.
Yeah.
All the standards have been set up to like way higher than me. I can figure anything. I'll live in a trash can if I have to.
Right.
Now I know there's certain things you're going to maintain the rest of the life.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if this happens, it could ruin my day.
We can go very deep or simple as like if I stain the shirt,
Word.
I would lose my mind.
Your
I'm
day
OCD. I'll start like looking and like, oh, God. Like I'll have to like either change it.
Yeah.
I have a pen in the car, like the little tie thing.
Word.
So yeah, people that know me know that I'm a little bit wacky that way.
Okay. gotta get it right. Gotta get it right. Okay, number 3. The first time I heard Blink, I loved it immediately.
Oh God. Well, this one, I grew up in Puerto Rico in the 80s, late 70s, 80s. And it was the transitional period of when traditional Latin salsa, the same way that it had been played for the previous 20 plus years, maybe 30 years, was going through a shift of new approach to it and new sound, sonically sounding different. One of the people pioneering that move was a bass player called Sal Cuevas. Sal Cuevas is known for us like the James Jamerson, is known to Motown, like Jacqueline Stanley Clark are known to progressive jazz. As what he did for the music at that time, it hasn't been done. It had not been done before. And here I am, like 15, 16 years old, getting into the music and playing. This guy started approaching it from a way that it felt like so intuitive to me, like, oh, shoot, I love that. Started putting slap into like Latin stuff and like double string, and it was like, oh my God, like, woo, 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 woo. It was like the same feeling that people describe when they saw the Beatles and Ed Sullivan and stuff like that. That, for me, threw me off. It sent me into a egg hunt that I'm still into this day, trying to figure out how to make it work and always like evolving.
Did you ever have a chance to meet him?
Oh yeah, we actually became really good friends.
Wow, nice.
He became a mentor, and then when I moved to New York, he was my friend, and he had moved to Florida for many years. He left the city, and like maybe a year and a half before he passed, I went to Florida and I invited him to the show I was playing, and he came out and we hung out, and it was in a weird serendipity way. I guess it was like the last time that we would see each other, and there was like this love fest, and like he's telling me I'm proud of you and all you've done. It's like, dude, I just ripped you off and put my name on it. It's like, yeah, but you did it, So we had that moment where we both were able to validate and exchange and say, thank you and no thank you. And so, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, two more. One, I can't believe this is popular.
Wow. That can go so many ways.
Yeah. You're a non-judgment zone, so it's whatever you like. I can't believe people really like that.
Because
to each their own. Y'all can like whatever you want like.
Yeah, but I'll go a little bit outside the box on this one because I don't understand some of the the Mr. West fashion statements that he likes to make.
Okay.
You know, and to have a company like Adidas, which is a worldwide renowned company, fostering this, creations of like a piece of cloth.
Yeah.
It put like a Y and a Z and then YZ or ZW, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like, now one kid's gonna spend $300 for this.
Yeah.
So again, it could be me, it can be my age, it can be Ray, whatever it is.
I get it. I see the same thing too. That's how much?
Yeah, exactly. And you go like, why?
Yeah.
Because my point always is, if there's something that you take it out of context and still holds its value. So if there's like something that doesn't have like a brand, a name that people like go, oh, I want that. If you have that same thing about people still react the same way to it because they go, damn, that's
a good quality.
That's a good looking thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great, So that's my point.
Gotcha.
You can put, what in a stick and sell it.
Sure.
Then, oh, great. Then that's the way you go. Fine. More power to you. But
yeah. Okay, one more for you. The opposite of that almost is I can't believe this isn't popular.
Vaccine.
Bah, turn up.
We're living in an era where somehow things have got so intertwined, and facts and actual proof of things are being questioned over opinions,
guesses.
Somebody's
cousin said.
And then I go, and I always tell you this way. Listen, my entire life I have spent playing things. If I get up on stage right now and I'm telling people, the best way to hit this note is because you shake this hand, you put the finger, you go like this. And somebody that doesn't play bass, never played a bass, goes, that just doesn't sound right to me. And it's like, listen, mother, I spent decades of my life doing this. Yeah. And that's what it's become. And then that person
has an audience.
Exactly. So they're telling me that I don't play bass.
Or Charlie said.
Yeah, exactly. And you go like, what are your mind? So then it becomes like the game of the crazy, the nut house running the silence on me. You go like, you gotta be kidding me, right? So all this data, all this proven facts of things that tell you this will happen, you say no because somebody feels that that's not right. Yeah. They can prove it that it's not right. They can show you why it's not right. Because if I tell you something and you say, well, it's not like that. See, if you take this and this here, you put this, and then it's like, oh, shoot, yes, I never thought. You can debunk my theory, but when I have a proven thing, and you still want to argue about it, and that's what gets us where we're today. This by far is. I never thought we would live so diverse. Not even diverse. It's like divided times because we have lost center. I have people that I have called friends for a better part of 30 years that we're not in speaking terms.
Wow. This is an opinion.
Over like, and I go like, dude. Because when everything fails, I go to the point. I say, you know me, right? You know who I am. Yeah. You know me as a person. Yeah. Forget about what my ideals or my political inclination or whatever it is. You know me as a person. Do you say that that we don't have something that you understand really how I am at the bottom chord of a human? Because I know who you are. I know you for 30 years. How are you going to tell me that you're not this? No, because if you believe in this, it's like, so what if I believe in and it has gone like that with religion. It has gone like that with politics. It has gone like that with human rights. It has gone like that everything. So now the core of who we are is it's technically just if you agree with me, you're good. If you don't agree with me, you're screwed.
Cancel.
And you exactly. And it's like, we gotta like agree to disagree.
Yeah. Because me saying yes to this does nothing to you. You saying no to this does nothing to me.
It's not like white and black.
Yeah.
There's a
There's
gray.
a lot of gray.
There's a lot of gray. And people go like, no, it's black or white.
There's a lot of gray.
Yeah.
Turn up. Well, any new projects that you're working on? Anything that you look forward to?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have a collaboration that should be coming out at some point. I don't know how much we want to divulge about that. It's
We're almost there.
we're almost there.
We're almost there.
It's something that
I know the fans are asking for.
yeah,
So
my
we're almost there.
my son has been like completely adamant of like, when is this coming out?
We're almost there.
So
It's got to make sense.
yeah,
We're almost there.
but actually, I do have I have a project coming out, collaboration I did with my dear friend Sarah.
Nice. Yeah.
I wrote something for her that will be coming out. Excuse me. And then,
I'm so proud of her. The world famous Sarah Wright.
oh yeah, that's my little sister. I've known that girl since they had to keep her in the office.
Yeah.
And,
And I didn't know that until we were doing the floor anniversary. When we were doing the interview. I didn't know
she
you
was
too
at the
young.
floor at the office of the King
Yeah.
because she couldn't be in the floor.
Yeah.
So they kept her out there. Then she would come, dance her stuff, and go back to the cage.
Yeah.
So we're working on something, and then I did another thing that I'm calling Lumba Virtual, virtual Lumba.
Okay.
And it was this whole concept that I put together throughout this whole thing of bringing a community together through the music that we play, but virtually. So it's a nice piece of people everywhere came, but the way that we approach it, it's like building a storyline and telling everybody, go, do this,
Okay.
go this way, go out, and it's like, okay, okay, now let's pass this two things to that other guy, and that's pretty much what we did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do we have any other thing here? Did his son also did your son get into music?
He just started.
Okay.
He just started middle school
Okay.
a few weeks ago, and he took after the family business. So he started playing bass in there.
Let's go.
You know?
Let's go. Turn up. Any other questions before we go offline? Shout out to Mad Mark Group in the building. What's up, Mad Mark? Quay, any questions on that side? Erica, you got any last minute? She said, scroll up. I had another question. Is there anyone he didn't enjoy working with? Is there anyone you did not enjoy working with? We'll let that be the last question.
Well, my father, the many valuable lessons that he taught me. He always said, if you don't have something nice to say about somebody, don't say anything.
Gotcha.
So, yes, there's definitely some artists out there that.
Yeah. And then you have to be mums to work because this is a very small industry.
Yeah.
So as soon as you say something about somebody, now you tell it to everybody. So, yeah.
So, they're out there.
Yeah. That's an offline question.
Yes. Someday, if you bump into me somewhere,
Word.
you go, well, I was the one who asked the question. And I go, oh, this one.
Turn up, Mike. Turn up. Well, boom. So thank you guys on Bigo. Thank you guys on Twitch, Instagram, and Facebook, YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for HotLunch to go. Once again, my name is DJ Unique. Thank you so much to Oskar Cartaya. Appreciate you, brother.
Oh, brother. Thank you.
Soon. Coming soon. Coming
Yes.
soon.
Yes.
How's that on there? They good on there? Okay, you can stop the record.